What does your promised land look like for you? What is the God sized dream, goal, vision, or calling that you are pursuing? And how long is it going to take to get there already? Am I right? Is that what you're wondering right now? Because I totally relate. And I have some encouragement for you. It might not initially seem very encouraging, but it is the exact thing that God told the Israelites as they were about to take possession of their promised land. And it totally applies to you and me. Two specific things to be exact. And he told them this because he wanted them to succeed. And he wants you to succeed. Therein lies the encouragement. Be ye encouraged, my friend. Let's get into it and find out what these two things are. Hey there, my friend. Jenna Dexter here, Christian life and mindset coach for women. And this is Total Thrive. This is where you are empowered to confidently achieve your most thriving and purpose-filled life. So think about what it is that you are dreaming of, what you are pursuing, a vision, a goal, a calling. What is the promised land that you are trying to conquer? And how are you feeling about your progress about now? Are you frustrated? Do you feel like you should be much further along in your goal than you are? Well, the encouragement is coming, my friend, along with some principles that will help you get in the right mental mindset to help you stay the course and stay on your journey so that you get your promised land. Let's get the promised land. Let's conquer it. Let's do this. Because depending on what your vision is, especially the grander your vision is, because I know that you can do grand things, my friend, the grander your vision is, the more you're going to need to be in that right mental mindset day in and day out as you conquer your promised land little by little. Because little by little is the first principle. It's the first thing that God told the Israelites. Did you know that God actually told the Israelites that they would conquer their promised land little by little? He told them that. In Exodus 23:30, he said, "Little by little, I will drive them out before you." And right before that, he said, "I will not drive them out in a single year." It's not going to happen in a single year. It's going to take longer. He told them, he let them know, he warned them, he prepared them. But why the heck not? Why does it have to be a long thing? I mean, like, seriously, God, we've already been wandering in the wilderness for 40 years when it should have taken 11 days. Why does it have to take so freaking long to just conquer the thing now that we are actually here? Why would he do this to them? But you know what? He didn't do this to them. He did this for them. He did this for their good, for their benefit. He did this to ensure that they would have success, not only in conquering the land, but in maintaining the land once they arrived, once they had full possession of it. The full passage in Exodus says, "But I will not drive them out in a single year because the land would become desolate and the wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little, I will drive them out before you until you have increased enough to take possession of the land." Think about it. This is the land flowing with milk and honey, right? That means that there is an abundance of milk producing cows. There is an abundance of beehives producing honey. When they had sent spies in to explore the land and report back, they brought back a branch of grapes that was so heavy that it took two men to carry it on a pole between two men to carry this one branch of grapes. That's how rich and fertile and abundant the land was. And God promised them all of this abundance, just like he's promising you abundance in your promised land. But if the Israelites had taken over this land too quickly, they wouldn't have had the resources to cultivate it and harvest it and maintain it. It also says that the wild animals would have been too numerous for them. So, in God's divine wisdom, and because he wanted the best for them, because he wanted to ensure their success, he made sure that they only took over the land little by little until they increased enough to be able to take full possession of it, which is key principle number 2. Whatever it is that you are trying to achieve, you have to increase in order to have the capacity to handle all of the abundance that's coming to you. A brand new pastor starting a brand new teensy little church doesn't have the capacity to pastor a mega church, right? Along his journey of pastoring and working with just a small amount of people and giving sermons to a small group of people where he has grace and the ability to learn and grow and counsel people a little at a time and do all the manage a team, all of the things that a pastor needs to do in a mega church. Can you imagine if a young pastor were just simply given a mega church? In God's divine wisdom, we start small, we take over a little at a time, and we increase as we go until we are able to manage and handle and have the capacity to do the bigger thing. But how do you increase? How do you get to the point where you have the capacity to handle the abundance that's coming to you? Well, first and foremost, you hit the like button and you subscribe to this channel or podcast platform that you're listening to this on. Obviously, that's the first thing you got to do. But the second thing you got to do is you increase by stretching yourself. The way you build muscle in your arms, let's say, is that you start with maybe 5-pound weights. If that's what you can handle, you take 5-pound weights and you do your reps with them day in and day out until you get strong enough where it becomes even maybe kind of easy. And then you up level, you go up to 10-pound weights. So as you increase your muscle mass, you increase your ability to lift heavier weights. You increase your capacity for more. But you have to keep pushing yourself outside your comfort zone in order to lift those heavier weights. And you have to make yourself lift the next level up. If you're going to increase, you can't just stay at 5 pounds. You have to make yourself level up and go through a little bit of pain, a little bit of hard in order to increase. You have to stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone again and again. To run your first marathon, you don't just go run 26.2 miles when you've never run before in your life, right? You start small and you add a little bit of distance at a time until your body has the capacity to handle a full 26.2 miles. I used to be an endurance road cyclist. That means I was one of those people who wore spandex and clipped into my pedals and rode a lot. I commonly rode about 20 miles a few times a week as my minimum ride, and on the weekends, I would often ride longer, 40, 60, 80 miles, typically in preparation for a 100-mile century event that I was gonna be participating in. But while 20 miles became my typical short ride, I remember the first time I rode 5 miles and was, like, a little bit shocked about how hard it was. But, you start somewhere. You start wherever you're at and you grow from there. Everyone has to start wherever they're at and then push themselves to increase in capacity with whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's physical exercise, growing a business, a ministry, a calling, um, whatever thing it is that you are trying to achieve, little by little, increase your capacity to do the bigger thing. You may or may not know that a butterfly has to go through the work of pushing up against that chrysalis over and over and over again in order to build the strength to fly. If you, quote, help a butterfly escape from its chrysalis, you're actually hurting it. You are preventing it from being able to fly. So embrace the struggle, the push, the angst, the building of the muscle because it's gonna help you fly, my friend. It's gonna help you soar. I've been watching Little House on the Prairie for the last, like, I don't know, few months. It's, like, almost the only thing that I watch. I've been watching it since episode 1. I am now on the very last season, season 9. And recently I watched the episode where, Laura is married to Almanzo, so she's Laura Ingalls Wilder now, and she's married to Almanzo, who has a stroke, and he's in a wheelchair, and he can't walk. And sister, Eliza Jane, comes along and she does everything for him. She feeds him because he doesn't even want to eat in the beginning. She does everything for him so he doesn't have to do for himself. And he gets himself in this whole mental mindset. Doc Baker gives him exercises for him to do so that he can eventually start walking again, but he keeps complaining that they're too hard and he can't do it and it's not possible. He'll never walk again. He gets himself in this mindset that he'll never get there. He'll never walk again. And Eliza Jane helps that mindset because she really enjoys taking care of her brother. She doesn't mean to be hurting him, But she is. She's actually preventing him from ever walking again, from ever thriving, from ever reaching his promised land, so to speak, because she keeps doing everything for him. But don't worry, he eventually figured it out and he did the work. He increased. With Pa Engel's help, he did the exercises and he was able to walk again. Of course he was. But remember, pushing against that chrysalis with our wings, it's hard. It takes a long time, right? But remember, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. That's James 1 2 through 4. This podcast episode was inspired by Chapter 7 of Win the Day 7 Daily Habits to Help You Stress Less and Accomplish More by Pastor Mark Batterson. It's a book that I've been going through and talking about, pulling little bits and pieces out of it to talk about here. And this chapter was entitled Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese word for an uncompromising commitment to continual improvement. It's not just about arriving at our promised land, it's about continuing to improve even after we take possession of it, continuing to grow, continuing to impact the kingdom. If you're purpose driven and you're wanting to impact others, continuing to impact them better and better. You don't just fly the kite, you fly it higher and you fly it higher. Mark Batterson says, when we go through tough times, God is building emotional fortitude in us. He is preparing us for bigger and better things. The challenges that seem incredibly difficult now will seem like a cakewalk in years. Which leads me back to one of the first things that I talked about, which is about your mindset. Possessing your promised land is a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take a while, most likely, to get there. And even once you arrive, you are always improving, always growing, which means you have to consistently stay in that right mental mindset day after day in, day out, day after day after day after day after day. You just keep going like the Energizer Bunny. Just keep and Dory. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. 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 What do you do when you swim? You swim. 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 One way to empower your mindset is within community. When you are surrounded by like-minded people who are also increasing little by little, you are much more likely to stay the course to fulfill your dream, goal, or calling. And if the idea of being part of a like-minded group of Christian women who are also pursuing dreams, goals, calling, and their most thriving life together, if that intrigues you, then you should check out Total Thrive Women. Total Thrive Women is my membership community that includes group coaching, a community forum, personal development trainings, and so much more. And if that is something that interests you in any way, then just go check it out. Learn more at totalthrive.com. You can also learn about one-on-one coaching with me. And while you're there, you might as well download the Discover Your Purpose guide because that's free. And who doesn't want to discover their purpose? So, whatever you do, keep increasing little by little and trust that whatever seeds you are planting will be the very thing that you harvest. It's in the Bible. And the great thing is, we get to experience, the small achievements on our way to actually possessing the entire promised land. The Israelites did possess some of the promised land right away. They did get the joy and feeling of accomplishment and the reward of having taken over a portion of their promised land. It just took a long time to get the whole entire promised land. For them, it was about 7 or 8 years. So revel in your accomplishments. Celebrate your victories, no matter how small they may seem. Don't minimize, whatever victories you've had, whatever accomplishments you've had, remember them and don't focus on what you don't have or what you haven't achieved, the results you haven't seen. Focus on what you have achieved and focus on this actual seeds that you're planting. Robert Louis Stevenson says, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Because again, what you plant will always be the very thing that you harvest. That's Galatians 6:7. Now off you go, girl. Be the woman that is willing to put in the reps, to increase, day after day, little by little, until you have the capacity to handle all that God has for you.